Join us on Midnight Murmurs as we journey into the breathtaking world of Hyrule with the gorgeous and brilliant Purah from Zelda, Breath of the Wild. Witness her growth and self-discovery as she faces challenges, builds friendships, and explores the stunning landscapes of this mystical land. Don't forget to hit like and subscribe for more exciting adventures on our channel. Chapter 1: The Sunset's Glow. Purah sat on the high ledge, her legs swinging over the edge as she took in a wonderful view of the sunset. The warm yellow and pink hues stretched over the sky, spreading a golden glow over the great expanse of Hyrule. She felt a sensation of serenity flood over her, her mind quieting as she concentrated on the beauty before her. As she sat there, she spotted a clump of highly vivid flowers growing close. The petals were vivid, glittering in the dying sunshine. Intrigued, she hopped off from her perch and came over to have a closer look. She bent down and inspected the flowers, amazed at their delicate beauty. Each petal was distinct, with intricate designs engraved into the surface. Suddenly, she heard a rustling sound behind her. She whirled around to see a little thing scurrying over the rocks. It was an exceptionally gorgeous lighting insect, with dazzling wings that glimmered in the fading sunshine. Purah's eyes expanded in wonder. She had never seen a creature like this before, with its beautiful, shimmering wings. The lightning insect flitted close to her, its wings humming quietly. "Hello there," it murmured, its voice smooth and sweet. "What brings you out here today?" Purah smiled, experiencing a sense of amazement and connection to the small creature. She had always felt pulled to the natural world, and it seemed like this creature was a perfect reflection of the beauty and mystery she had always found there. "I was just admiring these flowers," she added, indicating to the super vivid blooms nearby. "They're so vibrant and stunning." The lightning insect nodded, its eyes glowing. "Yes, they are. I adore seeing them change colors as the sun sets. It's like they come alive in a whole new way." Purah was fascinated by the creature's words. It seemed to grasp and enjoy the world in a way that was unusual and exceptional. She felt a great connection to the lighting insect, as if they had a mutual passion for the beauty and majesty of the natural world. They sat there in quiet for a long, watching as the sun sunk lower in the sky. Purah felt a sense of tranquility flood over her as she glanced out at the world. It was moments like this that made her feel most alive, most connected to the world around her. Eventually, the sun dropped below the horizon, and the sky was cast in a deep blue. The lighting insect murmured its goodbyes and flitted out into the darkness, leaving Purah alone with her thoughts. As she made her way back to her house, she couldn't help but feel grateful for the beauty and wonder of the earth. It was times like these that made everything else seem little and inconsequential. She vowed to keep discovering the wonders of the world, and to never take for granted the great blessings that surrounded her every day. Chapter 2: Memories of a Lost Civilization. Purah has always been attracted by the ruins and old treasures spread around Hyrule. As a scholar and researcher, she spent many hours reading through books and documents, seeking to unlock the mysteries of the past. Her newest find was a curious item found deep beneath an ancient temple that intrigued her attention. The contraption was unlike anything Purah had ever seen before. It was covered with weird patterns and symbols, and seemed to pulse with a faint electricity. She knew it was essential, but couldn't resist the desire to examine it more. Purah committed herself to deciphering the secrets of the gadget, poring through old manuscripts and experimenting with numerous techniques of activation. She worked diligently, sometimes staying up late into the night to complete her studies. One day, after weeks of investigation, Purah uncovered a hidden chamber within the gadget housing a little crystal. She slipped the crystal into the apparatus, and the marks on its surface began to light and alter. Suddenly, a blast of energy rushed out from the gadget, surrounding Purah in a dazzling brightness. When the light faded, Purah found herself standing among the ruins of an old city. The buildings surrounding her were decaying and overgrown with vines and moss, yet she could still see the majesty and magnificence they must have once held. For days, Purah examined the ruins, marveling at the architecture and the amazing technology that had been lost to time. She unearthed antiques and relics that were decades old, and spent hours examining them, attempting to put together the history of the civilization that had previously thrived here. As she dug deeper into the ruins, Purah began to sense a terrible presence hanging over the city. She sensed a sense of discomfort and danger, but refused to be discouraged. She pressed on, motivated by her curiosity and her need for knowledge. When she reached the center of the city, Purah encountered a black, throbbing mass of energy in the great chamber that had once been the throne room of a mighty monarch. At first, she was scared, but then she felt a burst of resolve and confidence. With all of her knowledge and experience, Purah began to design a method to halt the evil energy. She felt she could counteract it by infusing good feelings and optimism, and she got to work developing a mechanism that could channel such emotions into the energy mass. Purah labored diligently, combining her knowledge of old technology and her grasp of human psychology to develop the apparatus. It was a hazardous strategy, and she knew it might not succeed, but she refused to give up. Finally, the gadget was ready. Purah activated it, and a beam of light flew out from it, striking the energy mass and filling the chamber with a warm, brilliant glow. The blackness began to lift, and the energy mass started to dissolve. The ruins surrounding her appeared to spring back to life. Purah felt a sense of success and pride. She had done something fantastic, something that no one else in Hyrule had ever done. Chapter 3: A Garden of Wonders. Purah got up early to tend to her garden, like she did every morning. She extended her arms and legs, feeling the fresh morning wind on her skin. She gazed about, soaking in the gorgeous colors and shapes of the exotic flora that's surrounding her. She grabbed up her gardening tools and began to work. As she clipped the plants, she pondered about the power of growth and change. She had always been captivated by the way that nature could convert a little seed into a towering tree or a delicate blossom. She thought that there was a magic in the process, a type of alchemy that might change the ordinary into the remarkable. As she worked, she spotted a little thing slithering around the ground. It was a small, iridescent insect, with shimmering wings and delicate antennae. Purah observed as it made its way over the soil, stopping to investigate each blade of grass and blossom. She put out a hand to touch it, but it ran away. She grinned, experiencing a sense of amazement and interest. She wondered what other animals lived in her garden, what other mysteries it contained. Just then, she heard a voice behind her. "Good morning, Purah." She turned to find her buddy, Link, standing at the edge of the garden. He donned his green tunic and helmet, his blonde hair pulled up in a ponytail. He clutched his sword at his side, as if he had just returned from a combat. "Good morning, Link," Purah responded, smiling. "What brings you here so early?" "I was on my way to see Zelda," Link remarked. "But I thought I'd pop over and say hi." "Your garden is great." "Thank you," Purah responded, flushing slightly. She was always a bit embarrassed when others complimented her on her gardening talents. She had never thought of herself as particularly gifted, but she liked the process of producing and maintaining plants. Link walked closer and stared at the plants with curiosity. "What kind of flowers are these?" he inquired, pointing to a cluster of vivid pink blooms. "Those are Hylian snapdragons," Purah stated. "They're endemic to this region, but they're pretty rare. I had to go on a lengthy journey to find the seeds." Link nodded, impressed. "You really are a master gardener." Purah grinned, feeling a sense of pride. She knew that she had put a lot of hard work and commitment into her garden, and it was good to be recognized for it. As they traveled around the garden, Purah pointed out the numerous flora and creatures that inhabited there. She showed Link the gigantic mushrooms that grew in the shadow, the patches of shimmering grass that lighted up at night, and the nests of colorful birds that chirped and sung. Link listened closely, asking questions and making observations. Purah felt a sense of kinship with him, as they shared their love of nature and adventure. As they neared the center of the garden, Purah halted in front of a tall, spiky shrub. It had huge, spherical leaves that sparkled with a soothing blue light. "This is a rare plant from the Farron region," Purah remarked. "It's called a luminous thistle. The leaves are edible, and they have a relaxing effect on the body." Link stared at the plant with curiosity. "Have you tried it?" Purah nodded. "Yes, it's extremely peaceful. I prefer to drink it in a tea before bed." Link grinned. "Maybe you could make some for me sometime." Purah felt a flutter in her chest, but she forced it down. She didn't want to allow her love for Link distract her from their friendship. She enjoyed his friendship and didn't want to risk losing it by declaring her feelings. Of course, she answered, attempting to seem nonchalant. "I'll make you some the next time you visit." They proceeded to wander around the garden, appreciating the beauty of the flora and animals. As they traveled, Purah told anecdotes of her trips and adventures. She told Link about the time she had ascended to the top of Death Mountain, and the time she had battled a monstrous spider in the Gerudo Desert. Link listened with rapt concentration, hanging on every word. Purah felt a sense of satisfaction and contentment, knowing that she had a companion who valued her experiences and admired her tenacity. As they reached the edge of the garden, Link turned to Purah. "Thank you for showing me your garden, Purah. It's absolutely great." Purah grinned, experiencing a sense of contentment. She had spent so much time and work making the garden, and it was good to see that people loved it. "Thank you for coming, Link," she said. "It's always nice to have someone to share the beauty of nature with." They said their goodbyes, and Link headed out towards the castle. Purah watched him depart, feeling a sense of pleasure. She knew that she had a lot of work to do in the garden, but she was glad for the moments of serenity and wonder that it provided her. As she walked back to work, she pondered about the potential of development and change. She recognized that her garden was more than simply a collection of plants and animals. It was a mirror of her personal journey. Each plant represented a different element of herself, each animal a different lesson she had learned. She had a feeling of purpose and direction, knowing that she had produced something genuinely beautiful. And she knew that no matter what obstacles lied ahead, she had the courage and endurance to tackle them, just like the plants in her garden. Chapter 4: The Power of Friendship. Purah has always been a solitary person. She was used to spending long hours in her lab, playing with archaic technologies and following her academic interests. She never thought much about establishing friends or mingling with others. But as she went around Hyrule, searching out the old artifacts and lost wisdom of the region, Purah found herself lured into a gang of kindred explorers. Each of them had their own distinct abilities and strengths, and together they created a strong team. There was Link, the fearless warrior who wielded the Master Sword with deadly skill. Zelda, the intelligent and caring princess who had dedicated her life to safeguarding the people of Hyrule. And Revali, the haughty and arrogant Rito warrior who was always ready to display his value in combat. At first, Purah was hesitant to join forces with them. She had never been much of a team player, and she wasn't sure how well she would fit in with this group of strangers. But as they confronted risk after peril together, she learned to recognize the value of friendship and teamwork. The first time they battled together was in a ruined castle, where they had to fend off a troop of formidable creatures. Purah had been working on a new invention, a gadget that could harness the power of the old Sheikah technology to unleash massive energy blasts. But as the creatures struck, she found herself outnumbered and outmatched. It was Link who rushed to her help, deflecting the monster's assaults with his shield and allowing Purah to activate her gadget. Together, they released a strong blast of energy that sent the beasts flying. "That was amazing," Purah remarked, beaming from ear to ear. "We make a great team." Link looked back at her, his eyes shining with pride. "You did all the hard work," he added. "I just helped out a little." As they continued their trek across Hyrule, Purah found herself becoming closer to her new friends. She loved Zelda's wisdom and grace, and was captivated by Revali's talents as a fighter. They all had their own distinct viewpoints on the world, and she liked listening to their experiences and observations. But it wasn't always easy. Revali could be obstinate and argumentative, and Purah regularly found herself butting heads with him. And Zelda, while kind and sensitive, could also be cautious and guarded, unwilling to express her genuine sentiments or intentions. Despite these hurdles, Purah remained loyal to their objective. Together, they were trying to unearth the mysteries of the ancient Sheikah technology, and to combat the terrible forces that threatened to destroy Hyrule. In one especially hard encounter, they found themselves confronting a vast swarm of creatures. Purah had been experimenting with a new creation, a set of robotic arms that could extend her reach and allow her to control items from a distance. As the creatures drew in, she activated the arms, using them to grasp and fling stuff at the advancing swarm. Link and Revali battled on each side of her, hacking through the demons with their swords and arrows. Zelda stood in the rear of the assembly, her hands glowing with the might of the Triforce. She launched a strong blast of magic that sent the creatures flying, creating a route for the rest of the gang to proceed. It was a hard-fought struggle, and they emerged broken and wounded but triumphant. Purah felt a sense of pride and happiness that she had never experienced before. She had always been focused on her research, on the quest of knowledge and understanding. But now, she realized the significance of cooperating with others, of pooling their resources and abilities to achieve a shared objective. As they made camp that night, Purah found herself pondering on their voyage so far. She had learned so much about herself and the world around her. She had found new technology and old mysteries, and had made friends with some of the fiercest and most capable warriors in all of Hyrule. But she also realized that their adventure was far from done. They still had many hurdles ahead of them, and the destiny of Hyrule was still unknown. She wondered if they were equal to the challenge, if they could genuinely fight the darkness that threatened to envelop the land. As she lay in her tent, looking up at the starry sky, she heard a quiet rustling sound outside. She slipped out of her tent, careful not to wake the others, and gazed into the darkness. To her astonishment, she spotted Revali seated by the fire, looking up at the stars with a contemplative expression on his face. He looked up as he heard her approach, and gave her a tiny nod. "Can't sleep?" he questioned. Purah shrugged. "I guess I'm just restless," she remarked. Revali nodded again. "I know how you feel," he added. "Sometimes it feels like we're fighting an impossible battle, like there's no way we can ever win. Purah gazed at him with amazement. She had never heard Revali express uncertainty or uneasiness before. But then I remember, he said, that we're not alone. We have each other, and we have our abilities and our bravery. And with those things, we can do anything. Purah felt a warmth sweep across her chest. She had never thought of Revali as a calming presence, yet his comments were unexpectedly reassuring. "You're right," she said. "We can accomplish this. We can preserve Hyrule." Revali smiled at her, a rare moment of true affection. "Of course we can," he responded. "We're the best damn team in all of Hyrule." Purah giggled, feeling a sense of kinship and connection that she had never expected to discover with someone like Revali. She recognized that, despite their differences, they all shared a single objective and a same purpose. They were all fighting for the same cause, and they were all in it together. As she slid back into her tent and went off to sleep, Purah felt a sense of serenity and satisfaction. She realized that there were still problems ahead, still fights to fight and barriers to conquer. But with her friends at her side, she felt ready to tackle anything that came her way. Chapter 5: A New Dawn. As the sun began to rise over Hyrule, Purah took a deep breath and closed her eyes. She could feel the warmth of the light creeping across her face, and the lovely wind rustling through her hair. It was a serene moment, and she relished it for a few seconds before opening her eyes once more. Looking out across the horizon, she saw the undulating hills of Hyrule reaching out as far as the eye could see. In the distance, she could make out the faint outline of Hyrule Castle, towering tall and strong against the sky. It was a stunning sight, and she felt a feeling of awe and astonishment at the majesty of the terrain. Slowly, Purah moved her focus to the garden surrounding her. It was a riot of color and vitality, with vivid flowers and exotic plants sprouting in every direction. She had spent endless hours caring to the garden, cultivating each plant with care and devotion. It was a source of pride for her, a sign of the beauty and wealth of nature. As she went across the garden, Purah felt a feeling of pleasure at the progress she had achieved. She had learned so much about the plants and creatures of Hyrule, and had grown a great appreciation for the strength and intricacy of the natural world. It was a humbling experience, one that had taught her much about herself as well. Suddenly, a voice cried out to her from across the garden. It was Hestu, the cheery Korok who had become one of Purah's closest friends in recent months. He was waving wildly, and Purah couldn't help but grin at his exuberance. "Good morning, Hestu," she cried back, making her way over to him. "What brings you here so early?" Hestu laughed and bounced up and down in joy. "I have something to show you, Purah," he said. Come on, come on." Curious, Purah followed Hestu farther into the garden, beyond the rows of flowers and plants. Eventually, they arrived to a tiny clearing, where a bunch of Koroks were gathering around a tree. As Purah neared, She could see that they were all clutching little instruments of some type, and were swaying back and forth to a soothing rhythm. "What's going on here?" Purah inquired, fascinated. One of the Koroks walked forward, a little lute in his hands. "We're having a little jam session, Purah," he replied, chuckling. "Want to join in?" Purah hesitated for a time. She had never been much of a musician, and the notion of performing in front of others made her a bit apprehensive. But she could see the excitement on the faces of the Koroks, and the energy of their singing was irresistible. Slowly, she nodded. "I'd love to," she responded, scooping up a little set of chimes that one of the Koroks gave her. For the next few minutes, Purah played along with the Koroks, creating a beat and a tune that poured freely from her fingertips. She lost herself in the music, allowing the melodies wash over her and fill her with a sense of serenity and satisfaction. As the song came to a close, the Koroks all shouted and clapped. Purah beamed, feeling a sense of pleasure and success. It wasn't the type of emotion she was used to. She was more accustomed to the surge of adrenaline that comes with fighting, or the thrill of solving a challenging task. But this was something else, something more delicate and nuanced. Turning to Hestu, Purah questioned, "How did you all learn to play so well?" Hestu chuckled. "We Koroks have a natural love for music," he added. "But we also learn from each other. Every time we meet together like this, we exchange our expertise and abilities. It's how we develop and progress." Purah nodded, pleased by the effort and teamwork of the Koroks. It was a lesson she could apply to her own life. She realized the significance of learning from others, and of working together to attain a common objective. As she made her way back to her lab, Purah felt a feeling of appreciation for the experiences and friendships she had received during her time in Hyrule. She had come to this place wanting knowledge and power, but she had discovered so much more than that. She had discovered a feeling of purpose, and a community of individuals who shared her beliefs and passions. Entering her lab, Purah spotted a message resting on her desk. It was from Link, the hero of Hyrule, whom she had gotten close to over the last few months. He had gone off on a trip to visit a local temple, and had left her a note to let her know he was safe. Purah smiled as she read the message, feeling a sense of compassion and appreciation for Link. He was an enigma, in many respects, a guy of few words, with a steely drive and a deep sense of responsibility. But he was also kind and compassionate, and had a calm knowledge that she appreciated. As she settled down to her job, Purah found herself lost in meditation, reminiscing on the various experiences and trials she had endured in Hyrule. It had been a voyage of self-discovery, of learning and progress. And as she looked out over the garden and the rolling hills of Hyrule, she realized that there were yet many more discoveries to be discovered. For Purah, this was simply the beginning. She was anxious to continue exploring this huge and strange continent, to understand its mysteries and its beauty, and to share her experiences with the people she loved. And as the sun rose higher in the sky, throwing its warm light across the area, she realized that everything was possible. Thank you for joining us on Midnight Murmurs as we explored the incredible world of Hyrule with Purah from Zelda, Breath of the Wild. We hope you enjoyed this journey of self-discovery, friendship, and adventure. Don't forget to hit the like button and subscribe to our channel for more exciting content. And hey, Nintendo, we appreciate your amazing games, but this video is an original creation of Midnight Murmurs, so please don't copy strike us. Until next time, happy gaming!